Alrighty, let's see if we can catch you guys up. So we got the doors swapped. We got all of them kind of lined up. Again, we took all the manual doors off and put all the power window doors off of T-Bone here, who is bone naked now. And now what I'm doing is this little section right here behind the park brake, where those two holes are, that's the only two grommets that go through on this 6.0. So we got that section. I'm going to show you under the hood. We already kind of talked about this, but I got y'all told y'all I'd get back to it. So there we are on the under the hood section. So you notice right here there's no insulation or soundproofing on this truck. This was a work truck, so on the nice 3/4 tons they put all this soundproofing because Lord, you wouldn't want to hear your diesel engine, which is the whole damn reason of doing them. So down here you guys will notice, move this park brake out the way, and we've got the PCM hole and the 3 grommets that the new style harness with the big fuse box goes through here. So instead of trying to mimic this, because this is a, I don't remember what it was, 1.5 inch, 2 inch, and 2.5, and whatever this hole is, the other one is a 3.25. So I didn't have enough landscape to recreate this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just cut this whole section out. I'm going to probably leave the hood latch cable, kind of come up close to the firewall, leave this, and then come over, miss the brakes, and then, you know, drop down. There's a contour right here. And what I want to do is cut this one as wide as I can. That way when I take it and use it as a template on the other truck, we can cut it at maybe a 1/2 inch narrower, and we'll put some seam sealer in it and screw it in, or I don't know, possibly weld it. But what I'm going to do here, just I'm gonna put y'all on time lapse here in a minute, but I'm going to go ahead and cut off some of this soundproofing stuff so I don't catch it on fire or it's not in my way, and buzz this little square out right here. And we don't need that sound deadening crap anyway. The little few inches of that we're missing ain't gonna matter. And to be honest with you, like I said a minute ago, you know, I don't know about these new diesel trucks, but I like the 7.3s and the 12 valves because I bought the truck to hear the diesel engine. So I may just be messed up that way. But anyway, I'm gonna set y'all up and cut this out with the cutoff wheel, and then we'll mock it up on that truck and draw another one and shrink it in a 1/2 inch, and that way we can have an overlap and put it in there. All right, let me get that done and we'll get back with you. All right guys, I'm showing you a little catch up here. These boots on the 02 worked out good. They were big enough to fit that big old gaudy plug that was in here that I showed y'all. So we got the harnesses snagged through the door. This is all your window plugs, and we're working on sneak it in there. Look at that, boy. Working on the damn door ones. Those are a pain in the ass. We got Mr. T up here is doing the,
you gotta see, man. You gotta be able to see
the window wiper so we can see where we're going. I still have a little cutting to do. You can see in there I got my hole cut out, and down there on the bottom table is the patch panel. We mounted the PCM in there, and what we're going to do, we got a little more trimming to do over here, and then that patch panel is going to go in place. We're going to use the PCM bolt bracket to hold it in place, because the PCM is the only thing that needs to be specifically located, and then we'll silicone and probably screw it to the firewall with some seam sealer or some silicone or something. So anyway, same thing over here. We did have to change the radio antenna wire. We did change some of the, did you change the whole box?
Yeah.
Okay, so we went ahead and put the whole air box in. So there was a difference in the number of vacuum plugs in the 07 to this airbox, but all the holes in the dash were the same. So now the benefit of that also is right here, we have the heater core hoses, which are 5/8 on a 7.3 and 3/4 inch on a 6.0. So we don't have to do any adapters or anything. We're gonna have to get our little doohickeys right here. These boots, like I showed you. Don't mind my fancy gloves. It's a little cold out here today. You guys up north will laugh at us over here. We're getting chilly. So the problem we had here is this is the boot that the 7.3 came with, and this rectangular boot is the one that we were trying to fit, and this goes in like this. So what I think we're going to do is we're gonna try and reuse this, and but the problem is all of these plugs will not go through this accordion. You can see that it's, you know, they're pretty much as big or bigger than that. So I don't know if it's worth the fight. We may just come down here and make a cut and reconnect all of these, and that way we can get this in there. I was just thinking of some other idea, but the other option we had was to take the body of the plastic plug and drill it out to make this fit, but we'll have the same issue. So we're gonna have to see how that's gonna work out. But anyhow, that's where it is now. As you can see, T-Bone over here has pretty much donated all her organs to the cause. Airbox is gone, PCM harness stuff is gone, dome lights, everything in here. We got the this is the 6.0 airbox we're gonna keep. I mean, the wiper motor section is gone. It's pretty much butt naked, except for a few other pieces we're gonna rob out of it. Most of them are hiding up there. So anyhow, we're making a little headway. You know, just have to figure out a few things. T-Bone had a crushed door, so we found a door in the boneyard that luckily had the same body trim as T-Bone. So it's not the best, but it's better than not. And we couldn't get to the door lock mechanism, so we did a little butcher on it. We'll have to do a little repair there, but it'll be right here inside the door card, so it'll be dry, easy to get to if it gives a problem. We put the rear speakers back in, and the dome light pigtails are in. We're gonna have to stand all these plastics back up and get all this mess off the floor. This is all a pile of stuff that we've disassembled, and so we get all that back in there and get the dash on it. And then, like I said, I'm gonna take as soon as later on we're gonna get this hole. Got a little trimming to do on the right hand side, and then that'll fit in there. And I'll try and get a little more footage of that, because that's kind of a tricky little maneuver. All right, we'll catch y'all up in a second. All right, guys, we're trying to replicate this hole here. We put a backer behind it and marked it, and I think, let me show you, try and do all this at one hand. I think we're gonna take this hole saw and we're gonna start it and get our 2 pilot holes started good, and see how much of this we can cut with the hole saws. And what that is that's this grommet right here is, I think this plug looks like trailer light circuit plug because of the big heavy blue cable. So I think that's what that is, and it goes right through this little spot right here. So what we're gonna have to do is get that set up kind of like that, and then see if we can drill him out. All right, what I'm doing is I'm just cutting this out, doing a little CAD work, a little cardboard aided drafting, and again, it'll sit right in here, same angle the grommet is. We'll try and drill through, and we'll dress it up, and hopefully everything will pop in. And getting ready to widen this hole just a little bit on on the inside, and we'll be ready to put that panel in. All right, I'm not gonna, well, I may get some of this on footage, but we'll see. I don't want to make this a 3-day long video. All right, we'll come back to you in a minute. All right, well, that got the grommet done. So we got that done. I'm gonna touch these sides up with a little paint, and we got this widened out. We're gonna do a test fit, and that should, at that point, once we get a happy test fit, we're gonna put some silicone on it and screw it in, and that'll complete our cab modifications, I believe. All right, guys, we got Mr. T over here buttoning up some interior plastics. We got the mat back in, doing some door skins, and we're gonna not put seats in here until we get ready to do the cab back on for the cab bolts. I am gonna have to pull this park brake off, and the only reason is this little button right here, which is your brake light button that the brake is on, is located in a different spot, and there's a different style between this one and this brake set up here. So you're gonna run into stuff like that. That's one of the reasons why, if you're doing a 6073, it's best to have a donor truck, and that way whatever you need you can rob. So we're gonna get this swapped out, button up some more plugs in the dash. I had 3 or 4, let me see if I can drop this out. And it was 3 wires here in the back, and 2 in the middle right here was all I needed to unplug to release the dash from the body harness. And again, we got that bolted back in here with these bolts, and the one right above the gas pedal, and we got the gas pedal back on. We got some more stuff to plug in down here. We got the inertia switch over there to do, so we're just going, taking our time, plugging everything back in. The steering column on this truck did not come with keys, and it looked like somebody had fiddled around with the keys. So I dropped the steering column off at the locksmith with the 2 drivers, the 2 front door latches with the keys, and that way they can use those as a pattern to make us a key, and then we'll have one key that matches everything, because we did swap our doors from the 07 and the 02. So, and there was a couple of differences in the steering the steering column. I don't know if this is important or not, but the little shift button plug uses 2 wires out of the 3 holes, and the 7.3 was using 3. And the indicator doesn't have the park, reverse, neutral, drive built on it on the 07. But that stuff could be swapped around. But the bottom line was, I still didn't have a key for that, and we, you know, if we use this column, we'll have the key for it, but we're not going to have keys for the doors, so we still got to make them. So locksmith is going to take a pattern off of the door jamb keys and make a key for it, and he's going to get us a new key that'll work all the way around. So we'll show you all that going back in later, but right now it's just plug and play. And like I said, there's no rhyme or reason to it. I'm not doing this as a how-to, because we're learning as we go, because there's a lot of this is different wiring than we're used to, or that we run into regularly. But you know, all of this is going to plug into each other. The inertia switch, I marked it, you know, with a up so that we know that it mounts there. We got a ground screw right here for the dash harness, and where is it? I don't see. Tristan had set us up a, where'd that thing go to? Here, no. Yeah, this is it. Anyhow, we had we got roof lights on this cab, and we had no roof lights on the donor harness. So we made a ground to go here with this ground, and we're just gonna jump off the running lights. I just don't see I don't see it right now, but anyway, it's in there. We're gonna find it. So, key thing on all of this stuff is just keep track of, you know, again with the harnesses, pay real close attention to, I'll show you right here, you know, how these harnesses come in, where the push pins are located, and, you know, take a picture or shoot a little quick video before you get started on a section. And if you route all of this back, then it'll be located where it needs to be. And because Ford has 10 million switch plugs, chances are wherever it's next to is what it needs to be plugged into. So that's the biggest trick to it. You can color code it, you can label it, you can put freezer tape on it or whatever you want to do, but I find that if you just take the time to pay attention to where the harness is routed and reroute it the same way, everything that's located close to each other will mate up and plug in. So that's the biggest tip and trick on that side. Anyway, we got this almost all stripped. This is going to go in the boneyard. We got quite a collection of paraphernalia that's going to be going into the other truck. So we'll be flip-flopping some of this around. I hate to keep coming back to y'all on some of this, but it's, you know, like wiring is just, I can't really film anything in the door. You can't see what I'm doing anyway. So some of this will be, you know, filmed in sequence, and some of it's going to be jumping around a little bit. But I'll try and get y'all all the useful information you need. All right, we're going to come back in a minute.
Alright, y'all. Tristan here with another little tidbit. When I'm going back together with this, I'm taking the windshield wiper hosing and just running some air through them. Especially in a truck that's been sitting a little while. We get mud dobblers in the south, but I definitely wouldn't want to go pulling this cowl back and trying to find the clog in this thing once we get power to it. So we're just gonna give it a little toot here.
All right, guys, so what we got, Tristan is working on the front right here. Got the squirter bottle and some of the wiring right here back on. Again, I'm not going detail by detail. Main reason is Tristan and Sam were helping me with this. So Sam tore some of it down, Tristan's putting it back, and I'm just trying to fill in the blanks. So if it ain't an intellectually valuable how-to, then we just gonna show you what to, or what we did. But we got our inner fender back in here. We got all of our harness laid back on there. ABS brakes to the ABS box. We're getting ready to do power steering and alternator bracket and whatnot. We got all of the we've got pretty much all the in-cab wiring done. I got to get the my door locks and my steering column at the locksmith. We didn't have a key for it, and somebody had fiddled around with the lock on ignition, so we got that. But we got this pretty well buttoned up. All we got left here is the multifunction switch, which we got to wipe that down and dust it. Ignition switch to mount under there. Clusters in, headlights, radio, and cigarette lighter stuff over there. We do have one setup for roof lights, which we're gonna have to tie into because the other truck didn't have roof lights, so we may have to run a hot over to that. But anyhow, it's coming along. We got the mat back in it, the back, all the door cards in the back are on. We still got a piece to make for this seat belt deal, and then it can go up. So we'll be getting seats in here pretty soon. Again, I'm not going blow by blow. Look at the dirt on these doors, man. The trees around here this year. All right, so when we get to the back here, I was looking at how to set this up, and earlier I said I was going to put the saddle tank in it that came out of the 3/4 ton, but we're missing a cross member. There should be another cross member here for the saddle tank to butt up against from the underside. And then I got to thinking, well, we could fabricate something, and then I was like, you know what, we have the stainless steel lines for the tank that went in the back, and it needs to be cleaned, and both tanks have the foot that has fallen off, so it'll be the same work. So what I did is I mocked up these two center tank fuel lines, and of course they're a mile long going way up under there. But right here in this little arch, I'm gonna cut them and put a union right there. Again, it's suction and discharge, so they're open-ended lines. But we're gonna put some brass unions on there, somewhere right up in here, and that'll take care of that. And then all I think we'll need to do is right here is the fuel sending unit, and we also have the speed sensor in the chunk, and those are they're different from, well, this is not different. We're going to extend these two sending unit wires, weave them in there, and bring them to the back for that tank. And then over here we're going to go ahead and we may have to either change the speed sensor or swap pigtails, because the plug is different on both of them. But they're both mag pickups, and all they do is count teeth. So I think either way we go will be good. Either we put the 3/4 ton sensor in and this harness will plug in, or we cut this off and take the 450's pigtail and plug it in. But anyway, that's kind of how we're working. I'm gonna get under here and tie these fuel lines in, and Tristan's working on some pressure washing in the back on some dirty stuff. So we're gonna pressure wash that tank, and we'll show you. I think in there the foot that goes in this tank has fallen off, so we'll get all of that out of there and pretty much hutch mod that tank and do away with all that stuff. So anyway, like I said, and up underneath the cab I don't really have a whole lot of daylight, but I'll show you what I can. But basically we're just going to take a tubing cutter and we're going to cut these tubes and connect them together, and then we'll do away with the 7/0 forward lines, and we'll do away with these two, cut them and save them for another project. And that should be it. Also got our park brake cable back on, so we're making a little headway. All right, well that's where we're at right now. I'll show you what I can, and if not, I'll bring you back and show you what we did.
So I'm just trying to contribute any tips or tricks that we find along the way that I could share if anybody was in a similar situation. One thing I wanted to mention, when you're coming out with the intercooler, leaner on in like this, so all that oil can fall to one side, and we can get it out with some degreaser and hot water or whatnot. But we'll let all that gravity drain and then give her another pressure wash.
Well guys, we are getting some stuff back together in here. We started getting some seats in. We didn't put the fronts in because we got to thread some holes. I know we're jumping around a little bit, but it's hard to see up in here. I'm going to try and show you guys a few of the connections that you have under here. See if we can do this. There's a ground wire right there. Where's he at? Right there. So we got that ground bolt. Of course, I had to swap the park brake because the brake light switch, which is right there, that white thing, wasn't right. So we still got our headlight, two pigtails for the headlight. I showed you the ones we plugged into the back of the fuse box. My brain is not working this morning. These two and this one are going to, this one's going to the cruise. These two are going to the multifunction switch right here. We had to install the ignition switch right here, which is just a pin that as the key rotates, it moves it forward and backwards. So we got that plugged in. Back here on the park brake, we had to get the brake lever. We had to get our shifting knuckle, horn stuff. These two on the yellow line. This excuse me, this gray and black plug and the accelerator plug all had to be plugged in. And once we get the multifunction switch in, we should be pretty much done. We got, again, you got a 8 mil ground here. There's an 8 mil ground over there. That's, you know, and then you also have some grounds right here, but we didn't undo any of that. And on that side, you've got your, what do you call it? Excuse me. On this side over here, we have an inertia switch with the reset button. So if you guys ever run into a situation where you're not getting power to the fuel pump, pull this kick panel on the passenger side and check that reset button. But we got all that mounted up and that ground done, so that's pretty much it. Again, I didn't want to shoot the video because it's hands in there. One thing to be careful of, this is the little park or the gear shifter indicator, and it sticks up in the bottom of the cluster, so we have to loosen the cluster and pop it in. And this little adjustment wheel, and I'll try and show you where it hooks up underneath the column. All this does is this little red cable right here gets pulled, and as it gets pulled, the indicator changes. But it's real easy to break these tabs, and this especially if you leave it dangling. If you take the column loose, I would go ahead and take this off, put it up somewhere, because I broke the little adjustment wheel here and a few other things. But anyhow, got to break a few eggs to make an omelet. So we got to go excuse me, we have to go back under here, and so we have to go back under the dash, and this area right here is going to go, I'm looking through the headlight hole, let me click this a couple more times. It's going right there on that rusty section, and then it's gonna, the ball is gonna pop on to the swivel for the shift arm. And again, this little wire is your wire coming from the shift arm. So we're gonna get all of that buttoned up, and then after that's done, we can't do anything till we're ready to put the bezel in, which will be the two headlight switches, radio stuff, and cigarette lighter stuff on the far side there. So guys, I'm going to show you on this one how that shift lever goes on, because there's no way to show you under the dash. So this is the end. It goes on the transmission. It goes through the floor right behind the accelerator pedal with that grommet. Then this is going to swing around toward the park brake and then turn around. It's going to stab in with this kind of rough side right here out and snap in. And then what you can do is you can take some channel locks and just squeeze this on the ball, and it'll just pop on. And that's what's going on underneath the dash, which is kind of hard, almost impossible to see. And let's see, where is, okay, also underneath the dash, and I have this broken one here to show you, but this is the top side of the shift indicator. I have the other one in the truck. This is the bottom side that's supposed to have this little white adjustable section, which I broke. But on the bottom, just behind the ignition, is going to be a little 5.5. You pull that, that's going to anchor that, and then it's going to come around, and the little loop is going to hook right onto this J right here. And as you actuate the shifter, that's going to move the shift cable and move the indicator. So again, there's no way to get that really seen under the dash. And then the indicator, as I mentioned before, the indicator uses these little locking tabs, and it sticks under the bottom of the instrument cluster. So you have to loosen the cluster and stick that in. But before we do that, we'll snake that in, mount our little 5.5 mil, hook our little loop on the J right here, and then we'll tuck it into the instrument cluster. Alright, I'm gonna see if I can catch this on video. So I got the cluster pulled out and just sitting up here so we can stick our part under the bottom. So for right now, we're going to snake it right back through here. And let me get under here. Oh Lord. Alright, so it's gonna come through this opening here. This is where our 5.5 mil is, and this is our little J. So we're gonna just snake it through there, bolt it here, hook it on the J, and that should take care of it. I'm gonna show you when we get it installed and how to pop it into the thing. Let me get this run through. Okay, so there's our little adjuster wheel. We got too much bend in this. We gotta watch it, but it's hooked to the J. And then we're getting ready to go into the cluster right here. I have to watch it to make sure that we don't pull too hard on that thing down there and break it. So I'm going to move the cluster down and pop it in, and then bolt the cluster in. That's how we're going to get that done.
Okay, guys. Hold on. Alright, y'all. I got another little tidbit. On the 2002 F250 harness, the fuel tank harness only went to where the saddle tank would be. We just had to extend the 4 wires. Yeah, they had 4 wires in the harness. I'm not sure why, because it comes to a 2-wire past this plug. But anyways, we extended it to where we get the 450 usage out of it, as well as wanted to tell you about the 2007 rear end with the square tube. It has a square plug on the top. We're gonna have to splice it in. The 2002 is more of a round plug with a square top. So that's a little 2 cents.
Well, we are back with a truck we haven't fooled with in probably 8 months or more. Uh-oh. Look like stuff's getting ready to get real over there. T's armed and dangerous. So this is a truck we called Aziz, and reason she got the nickname is on the top of the marketplace ad in caps about 8 times it said as is, as is, as is, as is, as is. So we needed a nickname, and that just what stuck, Aziz. This is a little extra cab, long bed work truck, and we picked it up. We got a couple of issues we want to check out, but she was a parts truck, no title truck, so it's getting close to time for her to make her debut and donate us some parts. So since I haven't run her in a while, I know we might have a sticky injector, so we may have to bump her over a couple of times to make sure she's not hydrolocked. But we're gonna check our coolant and our Earl. All right. Yep, she was running with almost no oil in her, so I'm not sure what's going on with the motor. But again, she was bought for parts. So let's get on the computer. We got batteries in her, so I'm gonna enter everything in the computer and see if I can get this on video where y'all can see. Let's see, that's probably better. Okay, so I took a picture of the VIN, and for you guys that are always asking, this is a Genesis scanner. It's an older one, got it when a buddy of mine updated. So we're going to do scan domestics and USA and Ford, and it's going to boot up. Now it's going to ask you some questions, and all the information is in the VIN number, and I'll show you how that works. So this is going to be 2000 to 2008, is that right? Yeah, because see, our build date here was 12 of, oh, all right, so we're going to be in 02, I think. And this is going to say that it needs the 10th VIN. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 is a 1, so it's going to be an 01. All right, Ford. Skip over the truck. Skip over to Super Duty. Some of these earlier ones will ask you all kind of questions. You got to go back. The later ones usually just ask Super Duty. It's a 4x2. We want the engine, and we want the 7.3. This is a manual. It's got the Mexican transmission. All right, so we're gonna go down, and we're gonna go to diagnostic trouble codes. Enter. I hope all this is coming out. Go down to read codes and then current codes. All right, so we gotta have the key on. So we're gonna back out of this and go back to key on, current codes, and we're just gonna see what she's throwing since the last time we ran her, and probably clear it. And we're gonna run her and drive her by the shop, so we'll clear all the current codes. And so we're showing a P0470 exhaust back pressure sensor and internal control module cam malfunction. Now this P603 is anytime you lose complete power to the PCM, the cam, the keep alive memory, is gonna throw a 603 code. That doesn't mean anything. It's just telling you that the batteries had been completely drained or pulled at one point. So the back pressure sensor is the only thing that we have to worry about for this one. So we're going to stop it right now, and I'm going to take a picture of that so I know what codes were here before, and we'll clear them out. All right, so I got a picture of that. We're going to back out, and we're going to go down to clear codes, and we're going to clear them. Now when y'all are working on these things with these scanners, you pull some codes like we're going to do when we go to crank it. We're going to see what it does. When you pull these codes, sometimes you want to document them and then clear them. If you've had a lot of long cranks, you're going to get a bunch of weird codes. A lot of them are going to be bullshit. So what you want to do is take a picture of them so you have documentation, or write them down. And also you want to clear them, and then that way when you run it this time, you're seeing what today's codes are, and it'll keep you from chasing old business. So I'm coming down to custom data stream. I'm gonna hit enter, and we're gonna go to engine data, and it's gonna pull up a list of all the parameters that the computer can see. And because this is a custom one, there's check boxes you can select. I've got this one should come up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go right here to view data, because I should have a pre-saved menu. So this is the menu of stuff that I want to see. Injector control pressure, engine oil temp. Some of these you don't really need. This is just to narrow that 100 and something parameters down to something manageable. Oil temp, RPMs. I want to see RPMs to know my crank position sensor's working. Manifold gauge pressures, turbo, we're not worrying about that today. Voltage to make sure we're good, and injector control duty cycle. So main thing I'm going to be after is I want to see this duty cycle stay in maybe the mid 30s, might spike a little bit, so we don't want to get too high on that. And injector control pressure needs to get above 520 for this thing to pulse. And since we're a little low at 11.8 with these batteries, I'm gonna put some jumpers on here in case we have to crank her for a while. So let's get that set up. All right, we have auxiliary power supply to Aziz. And we have, now we got 12.31, so that's good. All right, so that gives me my parameters. I'm gonna watch them. I don't know, well, let me see if I can get somebody to video this while we're doing it. All right, guys, we're gonna be watching this. I got Tristan watching this. I'm gonna be watching the cluster up here. We're gonna bump it over really slow a couple of times because we thought we might have a sticky injector. Once we think we're good with that, we're gonna spin her over. So let's see what we got.
Oh yeah, she hydro locked.
How's the battery juice?
10.8.
All right, we got it to where we thinking we good. So again, guys, I'm gonna ask T. We're gonna have a quiz. This top number, ICP, what we got to see minimum?
500 something.
How about 520? That sound like 5 something?
Yeah.
What's the max you want to see in the bottom down here for percent?
Injected control pressure duty cycle?
Mm-hmm.
Was it 15?
Yeah, well,
65.
65 is max pressure, so we don't want to see much more than about mid-30s. If it's jumping way high, it could jump high because we hadn't run it in a while. But you want to make sure that under normal circumstances, you should see mid-30s when it spikes, and it should spike up to about 2200 right before it cranks. So you video that. I'm gonna do the glow plugs one more time.
So if it's high on the percentage and we're not getting much injected control pressure,
then we probably got a leak somewhere.
Yeah.
It's compensating, and because it's not seeing pressure. So once you do this, kind of watch your pressure and tell me when it gets. Tell me what it is as it climbs. You ready? All right, here we go. Fire in the hole.
2100 at like 30-some%. That's right on. Yeah. She's puffing. It probably got a sticking injector or something.
All right. Okay. Get a little shot of the screen, what the numbers look like. We're gonna let it warm up.
So
I'm gonna go take
3,000 psi. It's chooching hard.
What's your percent?
Low, real low.
Why is it getting 3,000 with only 5%? Did that lower down?
No, man. Staying up there.
Okay, well, let me go unhook the battery jumpers and see if the alternator's charging.
Oh, yeah. Bye-bye mosquitoes.
We didn't get any footage of this thing running, but she sure is chooching some smoke. I'll try and get y'all another one here in a minute. So our new codes, after we cleared the old ones, let's see if I can get it where there's not a lot of glare. There we go. So top code is exhaust back pressure we had already. And I was expecting the 1209 ICP system malfunction code and the 1211 injector control pressure higher than normal because it was so high on that. I did want to check alternator. Let's see. Let me back out of this. I got to get where I can hold y'all and read it myself. All right, let's get out of clear codes. I'm gonna go to custom data stream. I just wanted to see, I'm pretty sure that alternator was charging, but I just want to see if it is. We just kind of evaluating this truck to see what parts are good on it. Okay, so we're at 11.81. Let's fire her up and see if she's charging. Glow plug her. And just so y'all can see, when your glow plugs are going to take almost a volt away from you. So let's... Alright. Sometimes you got to give her a little throttle to get that alternator excited, so you can see that she's climbing with throttle. If we hold her steady, she's just creeping up. Well, I don't know. You can look out the window. I'll show y'all. I'll show y'all the future. You're running a real high exhaust, pressure on the ICP. And that's making her chug pretty good. And like I said, she's got a good bit of blow by. We don't really know. I'm not interested in the motor on this one. We may salvage it for a rebuild at some point, but all right, so we're now at 12.9. So we know the alternator's charging. I'm sorry that's shaking. The whole truck's rocking. All right, so 13 volts. So alternator's charging. I don't want to run it any more than I got to, so we're going to get out of this. All right, let's check our parts that we might need and see what's usable. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to see if we got any usable parts for our other project on here, and then we'll come back. All right, guys, so we're going to check the coolant in here, as we may rob a radiator for that 7360 swap. What I was trying to do is see if I had a front shaft for a 7.3, and I forgot all about the fact that Aziz is manual. So the issue we got is we have the 450 that we're doing the 6.0 swap on has this complete drive line right here. So what we wanted to do is use the rear section, which should be long enough to get from the hanger bearing to the rear end, and use a 7.3 front, because 6.0s have a flange front and the four-wheel drives too, and 7.3s have this slip yoke. So I had this set up, and I was going to take this off, and I was going to put this on here. Well, you can tell we got a female here and a female here. That's not going to work. So what I was trying to see is if we had a 7.3 shaft that terminated in a spline setup. We still might have one on the OBS. We're going to check and see, but if not, we're going to have to bring pieces and parts to the shop. What we may end up doing is just bring this whole drive line and just have them cut this down, take this off and put this on here if it's all the same diameter. But I'm just trying to see if we can rob one out of I need to keep the one in the hot shot truck, so the OBS may be a possible donor, although I doubt it because it's a manual too, now that I think about it. So we might just be bringing it to the shop and doing it like that. We'll see. All right, let me scratch my head on this and come back to you. All right, guys, we'll give y'all a little footage of how we use our winch truck. And we got a boneyard truck here. We're on the search for the elusive 7.3 front drive shaft. So I'm gonna let T handle the camera, and I'm gonna pull this up. All right, so I'm gonna pick it up, I'll drive up, just holler.
Yes, sir.
Now, once I get it straight, so we can put it in this hole.
Okay. This one here we call a pool truck. It was formerly a pool maintenance truck, and got a good interior. Just a little rough on the body. At least the paint. He's in there. You got it. Uh-huh.
Well, and the boneyard provides, so we should have our front shaft that we need, and we're gonna stick this one back over in the spot. So that's a good way to do it, guys. Y'all might buy you a parts truck when you can. And the boneyard provides, so this should give us our front 7.3 drive shaft to go with our rear 6.0 drive shaft. And this truck right here is not really ready to be on the road. I'm not exactly sure what's wrong with it. Hang on. But I think with a little snort of ether, she'll probably pop right off. You know, I only got 9 gallons of oil and water out of the motor when I got this truck, so I think this motor's for decorative purposes only. But like I say, when you need parts, you need parts. So saved us a $340 drive shaft bill. All right, well, we'll get back over to the 450 and see what we can make out of these two. You got the key, so shit is the fan, shut it off before you shit in your pants. Have to edit that one out. All right, so we shouldn't have anything on, so we should not see an arc on much of one. Alright, that's good news.
Getting lights in here.
Alright, that's cool. We got dome lights. Alright, you think that yellow thing is going to be wide enough to act as an oh shit thing? There you go, sir.
Might suck that motherfucker.
Well, it's gonna do what it's gonna do.
Yeah.
I'd rather blow up a turbo than kill an engine. Okay, dude, turn the key to on where the lights come on in the dash, and don't just let it run. We're gonna listen for the fuel pump. All right, we got a vacuum pump. You hear anything coming from underneath your seat?
ABS purge.
Sam, you hear any noise coming from underneath your seat?
No, there's no doing that. Yeah?
Fuel pump's pumping?
Yeah, it's rolling. It's quiet.
Okay. Give it about 10 seconds.
Okay, guys, we're gonna try to go ahead with a test fire. I'm sorry, a test start.
30 seconds apiece.
We're hoping for no fire.
Because the fuel pump will run for 30 seconds, and then if it ain't running, it'll shut off. So you can shut it off now and put it back on, and just let it sit. Kind of roughly count to 20-ish or so, and
Yeah, you purged it there.
do it 2 more times, and then we're gonna see if she'll pop off. But
Map sense.
hey, doesn't this have that little jump doohickey that we can put on the hot? Right there?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna get my well,
That would have made it one bad.
got your map on. Alright. Once he's done cycling, I'm gonna let him take the key, leave the key off, and I'm gonna come over here to this terminal with that jump wire, see if it'll reach. And we'll spin it over a little bit. And she was running before, so she should run. Oh, you think since she was running before, we didn't open it up, you think we'll just crank the damn thing?
Can't hurt. But I'm thinking it might long crank, but it's gonna do what it's gotta do.
Well, hook that back up. hell with it. It was running before, it ought to run now. Just look at them. We're gonna live on the edge. All right, we got our emergency. We got some rags if we gotta throw them in there. All right. You got that's your last one? Okay. Shut your key off. This time when you go, so once he's ready and I think we're gonna just turn the key on and wait to start. Goes off, let us know. And crank. You know, we'll go like 10 seconds of crank. If it don't start, we're gonna stop. And just let it sit a minute, let it cool off. And it may pop right off because it was running several times before we put it in here. We didn't. Well, that's what I'm saying. So. Give me 1 second, P, and we'll give a pop off. Hey, you know what? Why don't you get the scan tool off the workbench in the old shop, and let's plug it up and get it on like custom data stream. It's gonna be a 0273. And it should be a regular Super Duty on there. It should be the one that gives you 200 options. All right, guys. So we got everything plugged back in. Coolers. We got our transmission cooler lines plugged in. Hey, they also the low pressure hoses are plugged to the cooler itself. Are we in the radiator and the trans cooler?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we're putting batteries in it. We don't have a fan or a fan belt. I don't want to be turning power steering and all that just yet. We just want to see if she'll pop off and run. We got a block off in case we need to block it off and smother it. And we're going to hook the scan tool up. And with the scan tool, we're going to put it on custom data stream so we can see our numbers and see look at it once it's running. We'll run it maybe a minute or so and then shut it down just to know everything's functioning. See if we got any leaks or anything not happy, not wanting to play with something else. Okay, cycle your key off, then do your wait to start and crank on it. All right, guys, fire in the hole when the wait to start light is off. Anybody see or smell or hear anything out of whack, holler at Sam to kill it. Yep. There ain't no fire in the hole. Huh. Okay. Leave your key on. All right, keys on? Yeah. Okay, let me see if I can fire in the hole. All right. I was wanting you to watch the numbers so you could see if we were doing anything. What? Yeah, we need to watch those numbers and see what we're missing. Watch your ICP pressure. You ready?
Good. You just got something in the ignition here. Let me go make sure your solenoid wire's tight.
Okay. Shut your key off, bud. Well, all of that ought to be tight because that's you holding the signal wire, and all I'm doing is sending the signal wire that the key ain't sending to that. You know. me get a test light, and I don't know why. Now we may, you know, unless that peg on the, you know, we had that switch out. But it was, the pressure was trying to climb in there?
Yeah, 2400 sustain. Good ICP.
What about RPM?
Oh, I don't know about RPMs.
Okay.
Like how fast it was turned?
Yeah.
Sounded
Hang on a second. Sam, turn the key to try and crank it.
Alright.
Yeah, the key is not sending. Alright, hang on. Hang on a second. What? Alright, turn the key like you're trying to start it. Alright, hang on.
You in park or neutral? Park.
Go to neutral. Keep your foot on that brake. If it tries to move, shut it down. Just try and bump the starter. It ain't gonna crank because I got it unhooked. Yeah, go ahead. Hang on. You trying and it's not doing? Alright, come see over here. Just shut it off and you come see right here. I'm gonna let you test light it. I'm gonna try and jiggle the and neutral safety switch may not be aligned right.
Where's that located at?
It's on that big plastic thing right where on the driver's side of the transmission. Okay, we want a test light right here. All right, and make sure we test it. All right.
Hey.
Hey.
So I don't know if this was giving y'all issues with the travel, but this was behind the arm. This was up behind the arm in the housing. Like if it wasn't allowing it to travel or rock.
That might have been. All right. It won't start because this is unhooked. So.
You might not be in park.
I know. That's why I'm gonna go play with it. Keep a touch right here and let me know if this lights up. There could be something wrong with that Corey and them messing with that ignition switch. Yeah, either we can have either something messed up with that. What you doing, bud?
Holding some pressure in park.
Are we plugged in still? Okay, I'm gonna turn, when I tell you to, I'm gonna put the key on and just jiggle it around a little bit. Alright, here we go. Go ahead. Alright, I'm gonna stop. Go 2 clicks toward the engine. Alright, jiggle it around there, now it'll be new. Now, alright, go back to park. Alright, leave it in park and we're going to jump it off. I'm going to try and do it with just a 40 amp charge. part?
Yeah.
We're only 11 something volts. So I'm gonna put it in high carumba. Okay, if you squeeze the part on the firewall and let that other piece come out. Alright. You know how to do it? Yeah, make sure you push it on there good and don't just, I don't want it to arc because it'll wear that little tip out.
Let me know when.
Alright, go ahead, see, you good?
Yeah. Alright, go ahead. Alright, going.
Alright, we're back on this 6073 swap. So what y'all were seeing while we were videoing and jaw-jacking trying to do a startup, we were fighting a couple of problems. Number one, we had to use this jumper wire right here in the fender well. And you take this side and bring it over to the battery, and that'll jump you because this side is signal to the starter coming from the key. So the key would function. We would get all of our lights, our wait to start, check engine light would come on and cycle off. So the PCM appeared to be doing what it was doing, and it was confirmed by the fact that we had the scan tool plugged in, and we could see all of the sensor readings, all the pressures and whatnot. So the PCM was doing its thing, but when you would take the key and roll it all the way forward to start, it would not send signal to the starter. So we had that issue, and of course we were getting a no fuel and an IDM code. So we came over here and this whole area right here is kind of new to us. Most of the 7.3s that we fool with are the old ones, 99 to early 02, with the power distribution box here and the other fuse box under the dash. This is a late 0203 last gen, so this whole area is a little different. So we were double checking all of our hots and grounds and making sure everything was powered up. Check the PCM master plug, the IDM master plug under the inner fender. Everything was good. And so we backed up and got into the fuse box. Well, we got into the under the dash, started testing stuff. So we pulled the PCM relay, not IDM relay, checked it with an ohm meter and made sure that it was doing what it needed to do. And we had power here, but we couldn't get the blower motor fan wasn't coming on. This wasn't coming on, and we still had our key, which is also a relay, the starter relay that I'm pointing just in general. I don't remember which relay was the starter, but it seemed like this little set of relays was bad. Now on the back side, over in this area, but on the back, we pulled the whole fuse box out because we're getting power, incoming power, and it's switching it to outgoing power. We did it with a jumper, so that was fine, but we're still not getting blower motors, we're still not getting IDMs, couldn't do a buzz test. So that outgoing power was not leaving the fuse box. So we dropped the fuse box and we had unplugged about 5 big plugs to separate the harness that goes down here through the firewall to the to all the communications under the fender. So we pulled that off. We checked all the plugs on the back and found one of them that was seated, but it wasn't clicked in. So we clicked it in, and all of a sudden we got blower motor, fan working. We got we were able to do a buzz test on the IDM and the starter will now bump. So all the problem we had was just when I was plugging in the 5 plugs we unplugged on the back of the fuse box, one of them didn't get pushed all the way in and locked in. So there you go. We did find one of these fuses blown, which is for battery charging on the trailer circuit. So we went ahead and swapped that. So we should be getting close to being able to do a start here in a minute. So we're gonna do a few more things and come back to you on that. All right, guys, we're back on the fire up. Well, before we go put all of our front accoutrements on there, and the fan and fan belt and all that stuff, we're just gonna pop her off and see if we have anything to address before we go cover everything up. So y'all can watch down the back here and see if you see any chooch. And we're gonna cycle the key a couple of times, see if she'll pop off. All right, sir, are you ready with your Holy Grail pad? All right. All right. Fire in the hole.
Alrighty guys, so I was under here, I started noticing that this looked a little wet. I want to check the level in the rear end here, so we'll just, without further ado, we'll just go ahead and that's the fill plug. So we're looking at like another flood truck or something, man. Fucking this thing came from Houma, Louisiana, or more specific, what was it? I don't know. Forget, but I don't know where this truck been. I mean, that's how the fill plug again.
You're gonna need a bigger
That
fucking.
don't sound like no oil.
I didn't even pull the drain yet.
That's coming up the fill plug.
Yeah, there wasn't much oil left in there.
All your oil sitting right there on top of that water.
Yeah.
Big Spicer square tube.
No. How the hell did somebody get that much water out? You just gonna slide that pan out and put that other one.
You know anything about this? This vent tube that's looped together?
Well, I know that I put this one on there. This
you
one,
did.
I don't know what the deal was with that one.
You want me to keep recording, or you got your money shot?
Yeah, you good.
Put it in there. Goddamn, it's like a monster truck.
Alright guys, we're about to run her a little while and do a few different things at the same time. We're gonna be bleeding the brakes, working the power steering just to bleed any air out of it, as well as gonna be spinning the rear end over there. Talk about multitasking.
Alright, we ready?
Yeah.
Hold her in the fire. You want to check that first?
Yeah, let me go ahead and check the power steering.
Alright, I'm off. Well, that stuff was so thick the other day. So if you need to, put a little bit of power steering fluid in there.
ATF there?
ATF, yeah, we'll use that. And can you hit that from there? And you need to. You got that cool. Well, use your ATF phone. Well, whatever you want. Cool kids can mop the floor too. But yeah, just till it's in the neck just a little bit, you know. It'll stick on that bolt on the alternator. Check your fluid in your collector a little.
What's going on there, sir? All right, you ready for action? Yeah. All right. In the hole.
All right, you got it.
Probably. You want to do the fuel? You want to dump the rear end first?
Yeah.
All right. All right, guys, we got a couple of functions going on. Like Tristan said, let me turn you this way. We are hard over to the left, and we're going to shut it down and let the air bubble out and fizz out of power steering. Then we're gonna crank it up and go hard right. And we'll do that a couple of times to get the air out. But right now we got, you can see all this rigmarole with these extra fuel tanks. We got some old diesel that when we, you know, if y'all remember, we drained this rear end and it had a good little bit of water in there. We got in there with a bore scope and it didn't look bad, but we really couldn't see a whole lot like we wanted to. So in order to give us a little insight on what's going on, we filled that chunk with diesel and we're running it a little bit and agitating it with the back end off the ground. And we're going to drain it and see what we got, kind of to give us a little insight into what's going on in the rear end and whether we need to get in there any further or not at this time. So that's what we're going to be working on. All right, guys, y'all gonna laugh at us all suited and booted for 32-degree weather. I know all you guys up north are gonna be giving us crap about that, but South Louisiana, we are tropical people. Anyhow, I like to take any cold weather I get to kind of evaluate the health of these engines. As y'all know, these things really, really love their cold weather. So, I'm just getting the shop open and getting started. I figured we're gonna try this old girl on a cold start. We've cranked her several times doing flushing, and y'all saw the last couple of little test runs, but that was t-shirt weather. So we're right at about 32, 33 degrees this morning. Ought to be a good enough evaluation to see how she's feeling about the cold weather, see if we got any issues we're gonna have to deal with. So let's give her a shot. Let's glow plug her and see what she does. It's also a good time to check and see if these, what we call our floater batteries, which are kind of an older set, are feeling good in the cold too, because that's your next problem. All right, she ought to be glow plugged. Let's pop off. Smoking. This old engine we picked up. Let me back y'all out of here. Hang on. I'm gonna hit the camera from the tripod. Old smoke clearing up. This old engine came out of that truck we call T-Bone. And remember, it had the dented cab, and turned out that all she really needed was a little love. Boy, she needs a bath too. I need to get off my button roller. I got everything I have has tree fungus on it right now. But again, we picked it up as a non-questionable running. Let's put it that way. No key in the ignition, so we had to have a key made for the doors in the ignition. But we could start it from the ignition switch, and she always did start good. So she's purring along pretty good. I'm just curious, I think she's only got, 245. Alright, we got a check engine light, so we'll have to see what that is. I think that's exhaust back pressure. And we got a fuel light, which we know we're kind of low on fuel. What I'm wanting to do today is we ran some diesel through the rear end. If y'all remember, we had some water in this rear end, and I pulled the axle shaft on that side, and there was a little water in the hub. So what I'm going to do first thing this morning is I'm going to roll this around again while she's warming up and let this thing kind of stir that diesel around, and then we're going to dump this out, and while the diesel's empty, we're going to pull these hubs off. Let me back up where y'all can hear. We'll pull the hubs off, and we're going to check the bearings and see if they're in good shape. And we stuck a bore scope in the fill hole, and it didn't look dirty, but might be able to see a little better through the axle tube. And if we don't get a lot of crap out of the diesel that comes out, you know, rust or mud or sludge or something, which we're not seeing yet, and we don't see anything in the bearing housing, we'll address the bearings, either reuse them, repack them and put them in, or change them out if they need be. We'll put fresh seals on it, check out the brakes and stuff. So that's kind of where we are on this one right now. Also having some issues with bleeding the brakes, but we're going to get into that a little bit later today. All right, guys, we're going to come back to you in a minute when we get started with these, probably with these hubs. I'm going to let this truck warm up, and then once she gets warm and stops the fast idle, I'm going to let this rear end stir a little bit and drain. We'll come back to y'all with that.
Let me zoom in a little bit. So this is the best zoom I got. Alright guys, I thought I'd show in more detail in case you didn't know exactly how these come off. I'll show you in reverse here. To get it off of this little J, you're gonna need to turn it sideways 90 degrees and it'll win. So like I was saying before the GoPro died, if you didn't know how this comes off, it can be a bit of a bear. But once you get it off the J, this spring will come up and these teeth will lock into their place here. And then we'll go on the other side and pull the cable tight. Like I said, I'm just doing it in reverse procedure where y'all can get a look at it. But that's really all there is to it. The trick to it is to get some hose pliers, something that'll wrap around these teeth, and that way you can pull it out, and then from there.
All right, guys, the cold weather's kind of goofed up our filming here the other day. We got some rain and cold came through, and I totally forgot to film exactly what we had done. But basically, we wiped out these hubs. The races and the bearings look good. Just a little surface rust on the cage, but that came right off with a little cleaner. So we're going back in with that, and we got what we did is we packed the bearings with grease, and that way we don't have to worry about how long it takes the oil to migrate from the chunk to the ends. So we got a little grease on the bearings. We put the axle nut back on. We're gonna go 70 foot-pounds tightening on the actual nut right here. Then we're going to back off 90 degrees, and we're going to go back 18 foot-pounds to torque it, checking to make sure that everything's spinning free. And then we're going to stick the axles in, line them up, and those are going to go to about 90, 98 foot-pounds on there. So I'm going to put you back on time lapse, and we'll see in a minute. But for right now, we'll go with this. This axle nut socket is actually a smidgen too big. So you might see me kind of whacking it around and trying to, trying to loosen it off of here, but it usually works for me because we don't have to tighten this up very much. So let's see. All right. Now this, I gotta pull this out because this one doesn't back off. Now I'm gonna shake it loose by giving this a little whack because again, we're a little loose. And I'm gonna set it and we're gonna go back about 90 to 180 degrees. I'm gonna take that out. And we'll put this back down to, I don't have 18, but we're gonna do 20. And that should put our preload on there. So we're gonna get her to get back on there. Kind of might overshoot it just a hair, but I don't like being at the bottom of the scale on a torque wrench. Maybe it's just me. All right, so we're gonna just shake that loose like that. And that is torqued. So I gotta go dry my axles off and put the O-rings on. And then I'll come back and show you all that. All right guys, I'll wipe this down. We had a little rain and our Bluetooth doors are still not working to block the rain too good. So I used WD-40 for what it's actually used for, which is water displacement. So we wiped this down, put a little WD on it so it doesn't surface rust until the oil gets on it. We got new O-rings on here and we're just gonna go in easy, and then you gotta just kind of fiddle with it until there we go. All right, now we get some, got to figure out where the hell the lug bolts are for this. I guess it wouldn't hurt to put some, you think we're gonna put some rule on here? I can't tell if this is crud or if this is, I don't know if that's crud or if that's glue on the bolt. Yeah. Where the hell is my, because that looks yellow or something. It is. The wind and knocked shit down, got everything wet. right, let's see. First things first, we're gonna put a little glue. Put a little locker down on there. Oh, there goes the cap. We'll never find that again. Alright. Trying to work with gloves, and I am not a fan of gloves, but it's a little chilly, so I am gonna puss out and use gloves till they get wet, and then once they get wet, well, all bets are off. But anyway, we're gonna put a little blue Loctite on these rascals. Don't want this axle walking out. That's not something that's fun. Don't ask me how I know. So we're gonna get all of these Loctited and started in the hole. Let me switch hands here. All right. You may have to, till you get your first couple of bolts in here, you might have to lift this or jiggle it around a little bit. But we're gonna get this locker down in there. I'm gonna buzz them up with the small impact and torque them down. I just realized I might have to get a pry bar for the torquing, but that's all right, we get him. So what we're gonna be doing after we get this done is going back under here. I had to shrink the parking brakes, the adjuster, all the way in to get these hubs to go on. Now we got a fat squirrel running around on a wet tree limb dropping water on the roof, making racket. But anyhow, we got we're gonna have to adjust the parking brake slack out, and I'll put that right there and we'll get to that in a minute. Adjust the parking brake slack out, and then we can fill the rear end and check for leaks. All right, save this socket, and I'm gonna find my pry bar so I can do this. I'll be right back. All right, we are back with our pry bar. So we are going to be turning this rascal this way, so we're gonna put the pry bar down there. We're gonna change our strategy on these adapters if I can get the damn thing out. It's one thing I don't like about gloves is grabbing stuff, and all of this crap is coated in grease from the other day. There we go. I think I got him. All right. What isn't coated in grease from all this bearing packing is all wet from the rain blowing sideways under here last night. All right, we put that back. We put this on this. And we put this 15 on here. And we set this for, let's see what 98-ish looks like. All right. And the last one. All right. got that done. Now y'all don't need to watch, but I'm gonna go button the other side down exactly the same way, and we'll pick up from there where we left off. All right, guys, we got our emergency brakes back. Once we got these hubs on, we had to get back to our little slots back here, one on the top, one on the bottom, and spoon adjust the park brakes. So we ran them out till they were kind of, you know, almost you could hear them catching. Problem is, we were going all the way to the floor with no pedal right here, and I was still noticing slack in this cable. Now when we did the swap, of course we had this brake cable undone here to transfer the cabs, because the cab is a connection cab to chassis with the cable. So I had taken the T-Bone's 7.3 park brake out because it has this switch right here for your brake light when you leave your pedal down. Let me see, let me put this right here, see if I can make this come on back up. So that's your switch right there. So when this pedal comes back, it actuates this. When it's down a little bit, just like it is now, this will come out, there's your brake light. So we didn't have that on the 0760's pedal, and I still haven't figured out how it knows or doesn't know the brake light switch. But since we did all, you got to consider we had all the 7.3 harness in this 6.0 truck now. So I was like, well, park brake is a park brake, so we swapped it out. That way we wouldn't have to worry about the light, and we'd have that functionality. Well, it turns out park brakes are not park brakes, and the elliptical motion of this cable pulling wheel is different, and the travel is different. So with this pedal all the way up, we've got pretty good tension on this cable, even though it's released. With that park brake from the 7.3 in the up position, you could look here, they had slack here and it was slacking under there. So we needed that extra little bit of travel. So we threw this in, and now we go halfway down, we got brakes. And so we're done with the park brakes. So now that we've got that done, we don't have the possibility of having to undo the axles and get back to the park brakes. I'm gonna go ahead and put calipers back on. We can put the wheels and tires back on, and we can get to filling our gear oil up. I have a yellow flag here because we're gonna have to do something with this drive shaft. It's this back half to the slip yoke is the original 0760 drive shaft, and then from the hanger bearing to the transmission is a 7.3. So it's a two-piece. We're gonna have to go through the U-joints and probably change the hanger bearing, and we'll probably just have it balanced. And I'm pretty sure that the cost of having the U-joints and the balancing done at the driveline shop is almost the same as buying everything yourself and rebuilding everything yourself and having to fight the U-joints, and then you still have to get it balanced from them anyway. So they buy all these U-joints in bulk, and the last couple of times I've had them do it, it might be a little bit more expensive, but if you figure that, you know, you're going to take you know, half a day's time to swap U-joints, pull the hanger bearing, put press on a new hanger bearing, and then you still got to bring it to them to get it balanced. You know, it's probably a little bit more cash outlay, but you're saving that half a day when you can just drive over there, drop this thing off, and say, call me when it's done. So I left this flag on here. We didn't get very high torque on the U-joint, just enough to make it a driver around here and debug things. And then it won't be any big problem to drop that from out from under the truck and go get it done. But we're just debugging things on that right now. So we're gonna get this going. I have to put the PCM back in. I had to pull that out to get this back in, and then we should have a runner with emergency brakes. Just to back up a little bit, this has gone on for a few days, so if I'm repetitive, bear with me. This master cylinder here, I think, has internal problems. We could not get it to bleed for anything. It doesn't even leak. Like, it's full of oil now and it won't even leak on the bench. So we took T-Bone's master cylinder out, put it on here, and instantly we had a pedal, meaning that, you know, the old master cylinder, you could pump it all the way to the floor. It would never build itself back up. It just to the floor every time, and it wasn't moving any fluid, even with the little bench bleed jumper tubes that tie into the ports and go right back into the reservoir. So we're going to get back to this here in a little bit. Bench bleeding this, then we got to bleed the whole system because we did have air in it. We're probably going to have to do that when I have another set of hands here, because with this rear line full of air, and we changed all the front lines in order to have all the ABS from the 7.3 on the 6.0 truck. So all of those lines got, you know, were put back totally empty with air in them, and my vacuum sucker doesn't like to pull air as much as it likes to pull vacuum on the fluid. So we're probably going to do kind of a manual excuse me on that, a manual brake bleed, where you pump, hold, crack, get some fluid moving through these brake lines all the way to the back, and a little bit in the front, and that way we've got fluid for the vacuum to pull on. I think we'll get it all done. Anyway, enough talking, let's get into it. I'm gonna get some of this on time lapse just to show you guys a little bit about what we're doing, but we're probably not gonna show every little detail of that. I'm trying not to make this a month-long video, but we're getting close, guys. We got her running, we just got to get her driving. So first, step one finished. We got emergency brakes, put gear oil in here, check for leaks, slap that together, get it back on the ground, and then bleed brakes.
Alright guys, I got another little tidbit for y'all. We was going ahead with the cooling system and notice we don't have any lower mounts for our degas bottle. After the battery box sits on top of here, there's supposed to be 2 bolt holes for the 7.3 degas bottle to sit on top of. 6.0 doesn't have that, so we have to rob one off another truck, and as you can see, it has the provisions for the 2 holes I'm talking about. So that's just a little tidbit. The whole point of that is, you know, if y'all in a similar situation, you know what to expect there. So you're gonna need one of these for the passenger side.
All right, guys, we're gonna get into the mirrors on this 450 7360 swap. I love these big mirrors. I'm getting to the point where I can't see anything out of the little wide angle ones. And with all the trailers and stuff, I like to have them, so I always go with these. We did get these Chinesium plugs, and a lot of times you'll have I've never had these plug into anything. This batch came with adapters, which we probably not gonna be able to. We may not be able to. Well, I don't know. This is anyway. We'll get into the wiring of this later. I just wanted to show y'all. So I cut the foam, ran the wire through here. I got all my little 10 mil nuts off. So you don't drop them in the door. It's best to do the little paper trick. Just get you a little piece of scrap paper and that nut will stay there, because you're gonna have 1, 2, and then behind here 3, 4 for your nut locations. So I'm just getting ready to hang them. Have your window down if you're doing it one man, because you'll have to be reaching out here and holding the mirror up. And then this is set up for one hand to get the nut, and just do one of the upper, you know, try and get one of your upper ones on first. So I'm gonna set this up and show y'all what I'm talking about. But we got all the nuts off. This is ready to go, so our foam will fit where it needs to fit. And when you get over here, your electric plug is gonna go here. Your 4 bolts are here and here. This is that, there's a little, you can see that little plus shaped indent, and what that is a little ball that kind of lines that up and holds it still. So tuck your wire in here, make sure you're pulled back with some of your liner here so you can get to the bottom, and keep it pulled out so you don't kink it, and then we'll get it in here and get some bolts on it. All right, guys, let's see how I can screw this up now. Let me make sure I got all my pieces and parts. It's a good idea to have a magnet handy in case you drop these in there. I pulled the speaker out so I can get my wire kind of tucked through there good, not kink it up. I'm gonna put one of my nuts with the little paper trick on it, and probably try and get it on with this. So we got that going. All right. Let me check this real quick, because I got a little something on this glass. I want to make sure that it's dirt and not a scratch. I'll be back. Yeah, we good. All right, just trying to make sure I don't have one to return. All right. Trying to do this one man here. Alright, so we got our mirror. We got our mirror plug. We're gonna pull it down as we go. I'm all in the way of the camera, but y'all can make it out. Okay, let's see. Let me move, y'all. Probably blocking too much of the camera. Alright. Now I'm gonna go around and line it up. We're gonna make sure we got our mirror thing pulled down, everything's playing together nice. Alright, that should work. Let's get our last tubes. We're still doing our little paper trick to not drop the nut in the damn door. One more. When you're pulling these off, you really want to have the, and you can kind of jiggle it like this too, when you're tightening it up. But this is all plastic, so be careful. Make sure everything is doing what it's supposed to do. Kind of go a little bit at a time, in case something, that little ball piece is not lined up. And we're going to get into figuring out the wiring of this. I already got a video of the wiring of these. Alright, so that's how that is. We're going to leave the speaker out and leave this wire hanging out, because we're going to have to figure out how to get that. This is not plug and play, I don't believe. No, it is plug and play. Well, God, they don't. Okay. Now, the thing about this plug is we're only going to have mirror functions, whereas the plug on the mirror has the up, down, left, and right, the heat, the running light, and the turn signal. So we're going to have to bring in some more wires. We're going to have to make a little harness to jump the, we're going to come in behind the headlights and jump off the brown wire, run one through here for running light. I got to look up the colors for left turn and right turn, and we'll have to jump the right turn and the running light to the other side, and the mirror functions should work on their own. So we'll tap into that a little later. I'm gonna go do the other mirror on the other side. It's the same way. So if you really want to see how to do that, just watch TV in the mirror and it'll look like it's on the other side. Oh yeah, we got our first bay back. Been a while. We've been working on this for, oh, I don't know, 5, maybe 6 weeks. Not every day of the week, but anyhow, we still got a little smile addressing that needs to be done up here, and figure out what we're going to do in the back. But what we're going to do is we're going to fire this old girl up and let her run and warm up a minute, because it's a little chilly today, and take her for a little test drive up the driveway. I did want to point out something I didn't get on film though. We had the rear end up in the air on jack stands, and we were rolling it to wash the rear end out with diesel and refill it with gear oil. So we still have to check our gear oil level. I went down the hole of leaning it left and right to let the hubs fill up while we had it in here. Sometimes I'll do it down the road, and I might do it again, just stop in the ditch and let it drain a little bit one way, a little bit the other way. And then you always got to kind of make sure, once your hubs are full, you got to top it off. But one thing I did not notice while we didn't have brakes and while we had no load on it is when we would go to reverse, you know, it would spin. We go to drive, it would spin. But once we put it down on the ground and we're holding the brakes and put it in reverse, it died out. So I am no automatic transmission man, but from what I was told by one is the lockup clutch or the lockup mechanism in the torque converter needs enough oil pressure to release. And when the lockup releases, it allows you to sit there with a little light pedal, on a little light push on the brakes, and let it idle without trying to push you. Otherwise, it's kind of like trying to stop a standard when it's in gear and you're not pushing the clutch, just holding the brake. So what we had to do is we had to put a couple of quarts of ATF in the truck, and as soon as we did that, you could put her in reverse and she would idle with just your foot on there. But before that, it would either bog down or die. So if y'all run into that where you put it in reverse and she really wants to act funny and act like she wants to die out, check your ATF. You might need a quart or two in there. So let's get her going. I'm gonna let her warm up a little bit, and we're getting ready for snowpocalypse here in Louisiana. You guys up north are gonna be laughing at us, but so be it. And we're gonna put this out of the way, but wanted to test drive it before we go. Let's pop her off. I'm gonna let her idle a few minutes. I can't let her idle too long. I don't know how much diesel I have in her, but I'll come back to y'all in a minute. We'll do a little test drive. All right, so we got an ABS light, seat belt light, check engine light, and fuel. I know the fuel is low. ABS we'll check on, figure out which one's unhappy. Check engine light is the exhaust back pressure. We have we got to fix that, so we know about all that. So we're gonna hold our brakes, put her in reverse, and she's doing good. Put in drive, and some of this we already did. I kind of ran kind of forgot to film, so this is a first drive, but I didn't want to leave you guys out of it. And excuse the windshield. I think we could throw a little Windex on that, but it's coming. We got to wash this old girl. Alright, I can see. She's feeling good. And one thing, if you guys aren't familiar with the 450s, with no bed on them, they tend to get a little hip-hoppity in the back. So we're gonna fix that problem here shortly. We're just trying to debug everything before we put the bed back on. But she looks like she's doing good. We're not gonna know till we get her on the road, but for right now, just gonna go up and make sure she's running, she's stopping, everything sounds like it's playing good. Sorry if the camera's a little bouncy, guys. Like I said, these 450s get a little light in the ass. Alright, well, that's all I need for right now. She's looking happy. We're gonna have to snug the door, snug in the doors a little bit. They're all opening and closing good, but I noticed they're a little rattly. I think we need to cinch them in a little tight on that rubber. This will conclude our test drive. We got everything working and playing nice. Again, like I said, we got a couple of lights, but we know what those are. It's not unusual for when they've been sitting for a while to get an ABS light. Sometimes you can clean it. Sometimes you just gotta swap them out. Check engine light, fuel light went off, so we got our fuel gauge came up. We had put a little diesel in earlier, so that light's out. And the check engine is just exhaust back pressure. We did the turbo pedestal mod, and that's gonna throw that code until we get a resistor for it. But all right, we're gonna go park this old rascal in the lineup and say that's good for now. And again, we're getting ready for the the little snowpocalypse coming up. So they're saying upper teens for South Louisiana, and somewhere between, we're gonna get a little bit of snow and we all gonna die. So we'll see how it goes. Let me get this thing snuck in here. Well, we're gonna roll our windows. That's another thing I hadn't done. I gotta find the door cards for this, but we did plug in, and as you can see, our mirrors are working up, down, left, right on both sides. I kind of expected that because you know, we already had mirrors wired up, but we're gonna have to run turn signals and all that to the lights on the mirror, maybe throw some heated in there, but that's a story for another day. Just wanted to get a running and purring where we got a driving chassis, and the rest of it we'll take care of as time permits. All right, well, that is probably going to be it for this. They shut the old girl off. That's gonna probably be it for today, and probably it for this video. We're gonna pick this one up with wiring the mirrors and finishing the door cards and getting our interior trim. Hopefully after the great snowpocalypse we'll get a little wash job on them. We did let's see what else we got to do. Well, we're gonna figure out what we're gonna do with the bed. I've got couple of flat beds, so we have a couple of options. On this truck, the flatbed that came with it is sitting over here. It's kind of an old school bed. I kind of like it because if you want to cut on it or mount some stuff on it, it's already rustic. You know, we'll give her a good paint job, throw some new decals, and dress her up a little bit. But we may just go back on with this. We're gonna have to see. But that's it for now, guys. So we're gonna catch up with you with another episode of this 450 as we get time permits. So any comments or questions y'all have, as usual, hit us up in the old talk box down there below. And other than that, we'll see y'all on the next one.